Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a guide called Your First Steps into Trading, Building a Solid Foundation. It's aimed at anyone thinking seriously about trading. Trading often brings up these images of like instant wealth, right? Quick money. But this deep dive is not about that. It's not some get rich in 7 days thing. We're looking at what this guide actually stresses. The hard work, the learning, the discipline needed. Our mission really is to pull out those core steps, the mindset you need to build that solid foundation.
Exactly. And the source, it's valuable because it offers a responsible and realistic path. It pushes back hard against that get-rich-quick stuff you see everywhere. We're trying to extract those, essential nuggets, how to approach trading responsibly, build that resilience.
Okay, so let's unpack where the guide kicks things off. It starts by tackling common myths, setting realistic expectations. It really insists that success isn't some shortcut. It's a journey, full stop. So for someone just starting out, what's the biggest trap if they ignore this? What does the guide warn about specifically?
That's a great point. The guide flags the biggest pitfall as basically a gambling mindset, treating it like buying a lottery ticket, just hoping. Instead, it frames trading as a business. You need a long-term view, capital strategy, performance review, all that. It's about patience, understanding that growth is, step by step, not some huge explosion overnight.
And before you even think about putting money down, the guide really hammers home understanding the environment. It's not just, okay, I opened an account. It means grasping market mechanics, liquidity, volatility, how orders work, and having the right tools. Not just a phone app, right? We're talking proper charting, maybe backtesting software, real-time news.
Right. It's that due diligence before you jump in. The guide also talks about understanding who else is in the market, retail traders versus big institutions. Knowing that difference can really shift how you see price moves. That immersion beforehand is absolutely crucial.
Okay, now here's where the guide makes, I think, its strongest statement. It calls this the most important takeaway. Risk management is paramount. Like the absolute cornerstone. Maybe even more important than finding the perfect entry.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just saying manage risk vaguely. The guide gets specific. It says successful traders, they define their maximum loss per trade before they even think about getting in. That pre-commitment, it takes emotion out of it. You're not desperately holding a losing trade. It becomes calculated. It's your capital protection. Keeps you in the game long term, especially when things get choppy.
So you've got the mindset, you've got risk sorted. Then the guide moves to needing a roadmap. A clear trading plan. And it makes this really interesting point. Trading isn't just charts and numbers. It's fundamentally a mental game.
Yeah, and that mental game, it's not just about feeling good or bad. It's about fighting those cognitive biases the guide mentions. Things like confirmation bias, only seeing stuff that supports your trade, or loss aversion, where losing hurts more than winning feels good, making you act irrationally. So a clear plan plus that psychological discipline, that's key for making consistent choices and, handling the emotional roller coaster.
And the guide's final message really drives home that marathon, not a sprint idea. That whole 7-day goal thing some people chase. The guide basically says that's just like tying your shoelaces at the start line. Real success is framed as this long race where the finish line, it keeps moving.
Exactly, which just highlights how vital ongoing learning and practice are. Markets change constantly, new products, new rules, different economic conditions, so adapting and growing isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely essential. The guide suggests things like reviewing your trades, keeping a journal, constantly tweaking your approach based on what actually happens.
So wrapping this up, what does this deep dive tell you, the listener? Forget the quick fixes. Success, according to this guide, it really boils down to patience, serious discipline, constant learning, and that almost religious focus on managing risks smartly.
Which brings us to a final thought for you. When you think about taking on any new skill, any big challenge, are you genuinely ready for a marathon? Ready for the long haul, the adaptation, the setbacks, or maybe are you still looking for that sprint to a finish line that isn't really there?